One day I was sitting around with my totally non-modified Wii U and had one of the strangest thoughts to ever exist. I don't recall ever playing Luigi's Mansion on Gamecube before. I'm not sure how I had a thought like that, but I did, okay? So as one does, they find out how to obtain the game, and let's just say, unlike Paper Mario, I currently don't own an actual copy myself. Shigeru Miyamoto probably fainted at the mere thought of someone emulating his 2-decade-old game. It's weird for someone like me to be emulating something. I'd say I'm sort of a video game purist in a sense, so I'm the kind of person who would much rather just play the game the way it was meant to be played and on original hardware. But I just don't have the budget to spend $100+ on such an old game at the moment. Maybe in the future I can add this game to my collection, but right now, I'm just gonna have to leave an open slot. So the way I will be experiencing this game for the very first time will be through my modded Wii U. Not very conventional, I know, but again, here we are. Since I haven't played the original, if I mention a few things I might find that are quite bad, it might just be an emulation error. So if that's the case, then don't take something like that too seriously. I mean, if you do, then it'll just make me question your capacity to use your brain. For this game, I want to discuss in depth the many different categories you'll see listed here. Obviously, I'll be talking about more than just what's shown here, but this is just the basic outline of the kind of words to expect from my own mouth. I have yet to actually play the game yet. I'm just writing the intro, so I'm not sure what I'll be getting up to till afterwards. Now, I don't know about you, but the Luigi's Mansion games are some of the scariest games I've ever played. Look at these things. Scariest bunch of gremlins I've ever seen. What is Luigi's Mansion, you may be asking? Well, in short, imagine it's like Ghostbusters, except you're playing as a tall green man named Luigi who gets scared almost half to death by anything that comes into contact with him. At the start in a game like Luigi's Mansion 3, even while trying his best to stay calm and come to terms he's completely safe, he literally pisses himself at the slightest bit of an unexpected interaction popping up. I mean, I feel like he should have his guard up when dealing with this stuff, but we'll let that slide right now since this is his first foray into the horror genre. I'm not gonna give you a massive history lesson, just some basic background information on the game. This is a GameCube game. I'm pretty sure I already established that, but I'll say it again. This game is also turning 23 in September. Man, do I feel old, and I haven't even played the game yet. Also, this is a very short game. I looked it up. The internet would never lie. I'm gonna actually just go play the game now, so with the magic of editing, I'll be done. Wow. Okay. I knew this was a short game, but I didn't know it was that short. I beat it within a single day. I am actually kind of surprised at myself. It only took me like 6 hours. HowLongToBeat.com was not lying. This game was really that short. But like in everything, length doesn't matter. It's about what you do with it. I'm just gonna say here that I really enjoyed the game, but it obviously wasn't perfect. No game is. And you'll see why I think so in a little bit. Let's get started with the game's story. It's very short and concise. It gets right to the point. So apparently Mario and Luigi both won this mysterious mansion in a contest. The problem with this is that they never entered the contest to begin with. What's even more mysterious is that the mansion never existed and appeared out of literal thin air. Mario goes to check out the mansion but never ends up coming back. Luigi realizes this and, wondering where he went, decides to go check out the mansion for himself and runs into this old man here, Professor Elvin Gadd, or just Egad, if you're feeling up to shortening his name, who saves Luigi from a bunch of weird fucking ghosts. We get to see right from the get-go just how easily Luigi gets scared, and we haven't even begun the game yet. Apparently Egad has this really complex machine called the Portrificationizer. Wow. What a word. This machine basically allows him to turn the ghosts who don't have any physical properties into visible beings and force them into a portrait. He had all these ghosts that were in portraits up in his gallery, but King Boo ended up letting them out into the mansion somehow. Professor Egad tells Luigi that he saw this red-capped man run into the mansion. I mean, who could that be? Certainly not Mario, I'm sure of it. Luigi tells him that it's his brother, Mario, who's missing. Thought a nickel for every time I heard that one. Egad decides to give us the everyday household item, the Poltergust 3000. Yep, so only a normal vacuum cleaner has the ability to suck up ghosts. That's normal, I guess. Well, the only thing left to do is to go into the mansion and catch up these portrait ghosts, because of course Egad would force someone like Luigi to do his job for him. But we're doing this for Mario. Mainly. Alright, let's get on to the gameplay. Luigi's Mansion has an interesting gameplay structure. It's a little different than the games that come afterwards, so it does take some time to get adjusted to. By that, I mean I played the entire game and still wasn't exactly used to the controls. They felt really weird to me, but they weren't necessarily bad. It's not like the controls themselves were bad, it was controlling Luigi that I had the most trouble with. I'd boil this down to mainly a skill issue if you ask me. This game was designed with the dual analog sticks in mind, so I'm sure it's just me with the issue. Anyways, we're using this vacuum cleaner here to suck up all kinds of ghosts. Since this is a GameCube game, I think it's really cool that it uses the pressure sensitive triggers. The harder you press down, the faster the vacuum will suck. It's not like it's needed in this game, but it's a really cool detail. Its inclusion is exactly like FLUDD in Super Mario Sunshine. This game has two different control schemes, default and sidestep. Unlike the default controls which I used, it restricts the player's movement. The only way to change Luigi's direction is by using the C-stick, unlike the default where you can move in any direction with the left stick. This only applies to you when you're using the vacuum. After playing around with this control scheme, I really wish I gave this one a chance because it felt like 10 times better than the default. Not to say the default one is bad, but this one just felt a lot better. Now that we got the really important pressure-sensitive stuff out of the way, how do you fight ghosts? So you see this little thing that produces light? It's called a flashlight. Jesus, this thing is bright. Basically, you've got to shine it on the ghosts to stun them. Pretty self-explanatory if you play the other games. Unlike the other games, however, you don't actually flash them. You just kind of drag the light over top of them. The difference here is that they won't just be stunned for a while. You have to flash them when they are close to you, or else they will just keep fucking disappearing. It's really annoying, but it's just a skill issue. You'll know they're stunned when their heart becomes visible, allowing you to suck them up. This goes for all normal ghosts throughout the game. Eventually, so like 20 to 30 minutes into the game, you'll pick up your first elemental metal. The elemental metals come in 3 vastly different elements: fire, water, and if you thought earth, wind, or maybe even air for some reason, you'd be wrong. You just get frozen water. Weird choice to just have water twice, but whatever. These elements are used on very specific ghosts throughout the game. It'll be really self-explanatory which element will need to be used on the ghost, so don't think about it too hard, you know? Wanna know what really sucks about these elements? You aren't able to just switch between the elements on the fly. You have to travel around the mansion and look for sources to change your elements. There are plenty of them, so it's not too much of a drag, just a little nitpick, but the ability to swap them whenever would have been nice. Not too many ghosts actually require the use of the elements. Most of them can just be defeated with the basic vacuum cleaner. The only reason I can see for this to be the case would be because of what was aforementioned a few moments ago. Let's just say a remake of this game doesn't already exist. If this game got one, I think it would be an amazing idea to change this and make the elements more useful. Make more of the ghosts have weaknesses and stuff to incentivize the player to use the tools given to them. Portrait ghosts are just the standard boss ghosts you'll find throughout the mansion. There are optional ghosts, but I'm not sure why someone wouldn't just want to go collect them all. That is, unless you're trying to speedrun, then it's way more understandable. Most of them all have their own gimmicks, which is really cool. Not all ghosts can be equal, so you'll have ones like, look away and suck him up while he's visible. Not the biggest deal, though. There's just one portrait ghost in this dance hall room thing, where I have absolutely no idea how to kill them. I just kind of ran around until they became visible, so I'm not sure what the gimmick was there. My favorite portrait ghost just so happens to be Melody, for no specific reason at all. I think nods to old Mario games are really neat. I would never get blinded by nostalgia, that just doesn't sound like me at all. After turning on all the instruments, you get to hear the original Mario Brothers theme. So then ask you a pretty difficult trivia question about the song she plays. And I love Super Mario Bros. 3, so of course I'd love a nod to the game like this. No nostalgia for Mario games here. Not one bit. Finally, there's the booze. There are 50 of these guys located throughout the mansion. All 50 of them, which I just so happen to hate so incredibly much. Especially the ones with an absolute shit ton of health. Ooh, after sucking on them for a while, they'll just up and leave the room. The worst part is they have the ability to constantly move through rooms. Imagine you suck like 25 HP from one, and then it just moves outside the room. So you go back out, and end up only getting like 10 more off of it before it scurries back into the room it was just in. It's really annoying, and I'm not sure if it was fixed in the remake, but I hope to God it was. You wanna know what you get from sucking up all 50 boos? You don't really get anything at all. You just get this golden diamond, which is worth like 20 million gold or something. That's it. What a reward. I was thinking of going back and grabbing the last few I missed, but I accidentally saved over my file and now it's gone. And I don't really feel like going back through the whole game right now. I'd like to say that's it for how the game controls. Now, how does it play? So Luigi's Mansion has a very simple gameplay loop. Professor Gadd needs you to explore the mansion, so he gives you this little thing called a Game Boy Horror, which shows our location on the map. As you can see, the mansion has 3 floors, a roof, and a basement. The floors consist of many different rooms housing lots of ghosts and portrait ghosts. All of the rooms here are all very unique in their own way. One thing I find really cool is how the game kind of has its own fast travel system. If you press A on one of these mirrors while looking through the camera on the Game Boy, it'll teleport you back to the foyer. Pretty neat, huh? Another thing you can do while you're in the Game Boy Horror camera inspection thing is that you can interact with these random objects that are in each room. So Luigi will get a random interaction dialogue, and sometimes they're like really funny. Most of the room encounters give you these keys that lead to the other rooms in the mansion in order to further your exploration. Some of these also include secret areas that you can use the Game Boy Horror to access. They don't have much inside them except for chests that have shitloads of money. Others can give you one of 5 Mario items. I'm not sure how he left these around the mansion, but whatever. Like, no, seriously, he left his shoe in a literal child's room. Oh yeah, Mario was also forced into a portrait of his own. I can't help but think about the fact King Boo is the only antagonist in the Mario franchise to capture him 3 whole times. So Mario has the ability to beat literal gods but not ghosts? That's it, Mario. I'm removing the super from your name. When you obtain these Mario items, you can take them to this fortune teller and she'll help you track down Mario's location using her special spiritual power. Once it's all gone, she willingly takes one for the team and says, "I don't want to live anymore now that my purpose has been fulfilled. Luigi, take me home." I'm pretty sure before you are even able to obtain Mario's first item, you can already find out his location. So, I don't really see the point of the fortune teller being in the game. After exploring an absolute ton, you get to the point where you'll meet up with an area boss and are forced to defeat said area boss. These bosses are quite literally one of the reasons why I think this is the best Luigi's Mansion game. Not only do they have cool designs, except for this guy, but the variety of different types of enemies here is really interesting. You could end up fighting something like a Colossal Boo, Vincent van Gogh, or a literal baby. That's 1 baby for the kill count. This game isn't objective based like Dark Moon where it'll kick you out after doing one measly little thing, but if you're just beelining the gameplay loop suddenly becomes more flawed, and might as well be, because afterwards, the game does technically kick you out, and you'll be forced to take these ghosts back to Egad's laboratory, where he'll then use the portrificationizer on them and turn them back into portraits. This will end the area and progress the main game. Another big part of this game is stealing. It's not like Luigi has enough money already, so his job is to steal as much gold as humanly possible. The whole point of this is to build a new mansion at the end of the game, depending on how much funds you have. Here, look! I got rank D. It's not the worst rank in the game, but I'm really beginning to regret not collecting those last few boos. I could have easily gone an A rank, but no! I just had to stick it out with 50 million. I hate myself sometimes. Before finishing the game, I genuinely thought the amount of gold I had was considered a lot, since I tried to grab everything I could while I was playing. Boy, was I sure wrong. Well, let's talk about the final boss. If you've played the other games, then you're probably thinking, who would be surprised if the final boss of this game was King Boo? Now, I know you can't see it, but my hand is raised as high as it can be. I swear. I can't help but wonder just how exciting it would be for someone playing this game, or rather this series for the first time, and seeing it be King Boo. It kinda hurts that I didn't get to experience that because I played the other games. I think this boss overall is really cool regardless of that though. I have no idea if this was just the emulated version being weird, but I really think the hitbox on the Bowser is really awful. I just could not hit it for the life of me. It took 1 game over and me almost dying a second time to figure out I was doing it completely wrong. I had to shoot these spiked balls back at him when he lowered his head. It's all making sense now. After beheading Bowser, King Boo pops out and we can suck his life force out of him before he escapes back into the robot. Man, this game is weird. There's not much to talk about with his final boss, sadly. He sometimes jumps really high, he throws these little spike balls and runs around the area. He does breathe fire and suck in some air occasionally, but it's really easy to dodge. After defeating King Boo, we end up taking back the painting that Mario's inside and reverse the portrificationizer to transform him back to normal. So that was pretty much Luigi's Mansion in its entirety, but I still want to talk about a few more things, so just bear with me. I want to talk about the overall graphical design of the game. I absolutely love the way this game looks. The eerie darkness that flows throughout the entire mansion, the constant lightning strikes that change the lighting, the slight amount of fog and dust that covers furniture. Everything just looks absolutely incredible, especially this very HD model of Luigi turning a doorknob. The power of the Nintendo Gamecube allowed for dynamic lighting, so it's good they actually used it in such an impactful way. Same with the music. There aren't too many tracks in this game, but the ones that are in here are all incredible. This game's music was composed by Shinobu Tanaka and Kazumi Totaka. The thing I love about all the games that Totaka writes music for is that it almost always contains the hidden Totaka song that can only be heard under specific circumstances. In Luigi's Mansion, you can hear it by sitting inactive for 3.5 minutes exactly in the control menu for the Poltergust. For reference, other games that include a song are Link's Awakening and Mario Kart 8. I really like how Luigi whistles the main game's theme in the mansion when he knows he's safe. Depending on the amount of health he has, the theme he hums in darker hallways will change. He progressively sings less than notes in the song, the more scared he is. All of this adds to the atmosphere of the game so much, and I absolutely love it. The art style of the game has so much charm. Look at the way these little guys look. I love these toads. Now let's compare it to Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and 3 for a little bit. Obviously these games are going to look better from a graphical standpoint, but I don't really think that's what matters most here. Luigi's Mansion on Gamecube specifically captures a level of atmospheric detail that's just not found in either of these two games. The dark emptiness of the mansion just can't be replicated as of yet, and it makes me wish for something that can in the future. Roaming the hotel was really fun and looks absolutely stunning, but it doesn't give me any eerie vibes. It just feels like I'm exploring a really tall building at night. I can say the same thing about the ghost designs. These feel like characters that could exist in the Mario universe. These make me feel like I should get a fucking restraining order. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a massive step in the right direction, but Dark Moon was just big head ghost and bland designs for the entire game. I'm not trying to say that either of these games are bad, far from it, but compared to Luigi's Mansion on Gamecube, they leave much to be desired. The combat is like 10 times simpler in this game than the others. Obviously, because this is the first one, it lacks many of the quality of life and other features that came with its successors. You don't have the ability to flash your flashlight, and turning Luigi feels kinda weird. As I mentioned before, the combat isn't bad, but it hasn't aged very well. I don't have an input for the 3DS one, which is why I'm not comparing it to that version. Luigi's Mansion's successors have their own version of the Game Boy Horror, these being the Dual Scream and Virtual Boo. I think these are all super creative ways to use their older systems in newer games. I'm gonna have to go with the Virtual Boo as my favorite version out of the three. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the Virtual Boy. Alright, I'm officially done talking about Luigi's Mansion. For now. I firmly believe that this game holds up decently well for being 23 years old. Whether it's the combat, graphic design, music, or atmosphere, everything just feels overall really great. If anything, the one thing I can say that doesn't hold up about this game is the default control scheme. I really recommend you play this game with a sidestep control scheme. Don't do what I did. The GameCube is an era of video games where I believe they personally don't age that poorly. Sure, an update to the way some of these games control can help them a whole lot, but it's not like they absolutely need these. Since these are GameCube games though, Nintendo would much rather re-release or remake these and sell them for the cool equivalent of a full-price game. The pricing strategy for their games will never make sense to me. But it's Nintendo, so complaining won't do much to make it any better. I'll buy their stuff anyways. Part of my terrible French here, but je m'en fous, je l'achète quand même. I've got a lot of stuff to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave the video here. If you are interested, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I'll see you in my next video, whenever that decides to come out.